Hi, Dr. G. My name is Cash Lessenhop, and I am a senior biology major here at the University of Oklahoma, and I am a student in your Introduction to Native American Music class. Today I'll be discussing the misappropriation of Native American culture within the American music and entertainment industries. Essentially, since the landing of European settlers here in North America, indigenous peoples have been the victims of a variety of abuses, whether that be the displacement they may have faced from their native lands or the systematic racism that many face today. Historically speaking, Native Americans have been used as an ends to justify a white man's means. Uh, Essentially, just as the settlers used, stole, and destroyed the lands of the Native Americans, uh, the music industry and entertainment industries of today are using and destroying and trivializing the rich cultures of many Native Americans through the use of cultural misappropriation. So to go forward, I believe we should define that term, and I believe that you put it best by saying that cultural misappropriation is the intentional theft of tangible or non-tangible cultural commodities by an outsider with the intent to be used for economic gain or to intentionally create a stereotype. And regarding Native American culture, I believe that nowhere is this more identifiable than in the concept of singing red face. So we're going to move forward by discussing that. Singing red face is the depiction of Native Americans by non-indigenous people in an attempt to appear as an entertaining caricature of Native culture. Similarly to the way that blackface was used in Jim Crow era minstrel shows, the emulation of indigenous culture through singing red face has similarly been used to racially disparage the image of natives by promoting false ideas and stereotypes regarding indigenous people. This is best displayed in an actor by the name of Iron Eyes Cody, whose real name is Aspera Oscar de Cordy. He was an Italian-American actor who played Native American characters in a variety of films and TV roles from the 20s until the 80s. And Mr. de Cordy's depiction of Native Americans in cinema is the antithesis of this term. Although he may not have sung too often while all dressed up, he quite definitely painted his face red while performing in these roles. This idea of singing red face is also identifiable in Disney's 1953 animated film Peter Pan, where there exists a song sequence entitled "What Makes a Red Man Red," and this song is accompanied by animation displays of characters with exaggerated and inaccurate clothing features, as well as facial features, such as deep red skin and feather-adorned headbands. The song sung by the cast in this film is an upbeat chant-like song that features drum patterns that are meant to emulate those of some Native American cultures, and the lyrics mentioned have some words in them that are offensive to some Native American peoples. Just as minstrel shows provided white audiences with a safe and unthreatening way to have an imaginary glimpse into African American culture, these instances that I've mentioned of singing red face function in the same way by perpetuating untrue ideas about Native Americans through a theatrical medium. Another way in which Native American culture has been misappropriated is through the idea of racial antipathy, which is the negative connotation regarding race that may be placed upon words or phrases. Such antipathy is present in the phrase Indian giver. The words Indian and giver by themselves don't really mean too much, but together they describe an individual who desires to have an item returned to them after having given it away. Indian giver negatively portrays Native Americans as dishonest people who go back on their word, and its use in popular music continues to perpetuate this idea. The use of Indian giver in popular music is best displayed in the band 1910 Fruit Gum Company's song Indian Giver. It features lyrics that depict a young couple who profess their love for each other, but in the chorus it is revealed that the young man's girlfriend has left him, thus taking her love back after having given it to him. This, paired with the cover art for the album of the same name, depicting the 5 band members smoking cigars and wearing mock Native American regalia, shows the intention of the band and the Buddha Recording Company. It shows that they intentionally used the likeness of Native Americans in order to achieve success, while reinforcing negative ideas about them through the use of the lyrics. Indian Giver also appears in a song by a Disney Mouseketeer by the name of Annette Funicelli. In her song, she tells a similar story to that of the Fruit Gum Company. However, she doubles down on the references to Native Americans by using offensive terms that are targeted towards Native American women as well as Native Americans in general. 1910 Fruit Gum Company and Annette Funicelli are great examples of how racial antipathy can be weaponized within the music industry. Through their popularity, brand association, and musical performances, both Fruit Gum and Funicelli were able to fortify Indian Giver's position as an acceptable phrase within the public lexicon, while also insinuating other things about Native Americans and their culture through their lyrics and promotional materials. Idealized sympathy is another way in which Native Americans are targeted by cultural misappropriation. In 1953, a corporate and civic initiative known as Keep America Beautiful launched an advertising campaign meant to act as a public service announcement that would discourage littering and pollution. The advertisement depicted a man dressed as a Native American canoeing down a river in a forest. As he continued into more urban settings, more trash began to appear in and alongside the river. As the man in the canoe encounters more trash, littering, and pollution along his trek, he climbs out of his canoe and sheds a single tear. This is followed by a message that plays about how we can all do our part to keep America beautiful. This ad has a great sentiment and is well intentioned. However, a fallacy exists within it that falls within the realm of idealized sympathy. The advertisement essentially says that we should all be sorry because we have all contributed to the destruction of the once mighty Native Americans' land. The problem with this is that this ad suggests that we should be apologetic to the idea of Native Americans, as the actor being depicted is dressed as this generalized idea of what many believe a Native American should look like. There's nothing done in the ad to identify the actor as a member of a specific tribe or culture, thus generalizing Native Americans and trivializing the vast array of unique cultures that exist beneath the umbrella term of Native American. This is also not helped by the fact that the actor depicting the Native American in this ad is Iron Eyes Cody, who we previously mentioned as being a non-Indigenous actor who is famous for depicting Native Americans in cinema. A common fallacy that comes as a result of generalizations made within idealized sympathy is cultural confusion. Cultural confusion is the way in which ideas are taken from a variety of cultures and are presented as a singular idea by an individual or group who lacks understanding of the topic at hand. This is identifiable in Tim McGraw's breakout hit Indian Outlaw from his 1994 album Not a Moment Too Soon. Through this song, McGraw is in a position where his career can further flourish, but it came at the cost of marginalizing Native Americans and First Nations people by promoting cultural confusion. Through an analysis of the lyrics and musical techniques used in the song, it's clear that McGraw, as well as the songwriters, used musical progression made to sound stereotypically indigenous and a vast array of native verbiage in order to produce this work. In the song, McGraw, an Italian-American, portrays a character of both Cherokee and Choctaw descent who is infatuated with a Chippewa woman. Throughout the song, he makes references to his character's tribal background, hunting ability, stereotypical native clothes, teepees, wigwams, and a variety of other things. By intermingling all of these native concepts, McGraw contributes to cultural confusion by referring to the things that he's mentioned as Indian rather than attributing them to their respective tribes. While also perpetuating this idea, he is showing that it's okay for non-Indigenous people to play Indian by embodying Indigenous characters and racial stereotypes. So, as you can see in the variety of video examples that I provided, as well as the topics that were discussed, it is identifiable that cultural misappropriation of Native American culture within entertainment and music is a significant issue that is still being faced today. By continuing to push these ideas of cultural misappropriation and playing Indian and singing Red Face and whatnot, we're just continuing to normalize the fact that it's okay to just kind of continue to push these racial undertones within popular media. And by doing so, we are kind of trivializing not only the cultures of these great nations, but as well as the horrific past that they've faced at the hands of the founders of this nation. So thank you for your time, and have a good night.